Dear friends, today I will take your classes of metals and non-metals, chapter 3rd for class 10th students. So let us see the slides. I will explain everything from this slide. Metals and non-metals. Elements can be classified as metals and non-metals on the basis of their properties. Examples of some metals are iron, aluminium, silver, copper, gold. Examples of some non-metals are hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur and oxygen. So let us compare their properties. Physical properties. First property is luster. Metals have shining surface. Non-metals do not have shining surface except iodine crystals, which are very shining in nature. Next, the hardness. Metals are generally hard except sodium, lithium and potassium, which are soft and can be cut with the knife. Non-metals generally soft except diamond, which is very hard in nature. State. Metals exist as solid. Most of the metals exist as solid except mercury. Most of the non-metals exist as solids or gaseous except one, bromine, which is liquid. Malleability, malleability is a property when metal or any other thing is beaten and it changes into thin sheets. So metals can be beaten into thin sheets. Gold and silver are the most malleable metal, and non-metals are non-malleable. They cannot be beat into thin layers. Further, ductility. Metals can be drawn into thin wires. Ductility, it is a property when metal is in molten state, it can be drawn into wires. So this property is ductility, and metals can be drawn into thin wires where non-metals are unable to be drawn into thin wires. Conduct of heat and electricity. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Non-metals are poor conductor of heat and electricity. The exception case is graphite, which conduct electricity. In the case of metals, silver and copper are the best conductors. Lead and mercury are the poor conductors of heat. Density. Generally have high density and high melting point. Metals. Non-metals have low density and low melting point. In the case of metals, sodium and potassium have less density. They can float on the surface of that liquid or any other thing, any solution, it will float over that. So it has density less, and others metals have high density. Sonorous, it is a property when metal or non-metal are struck with other metal, it produces the sound. So sonorous metal produces a sound on striking a hard surface. Metal, if it is struck to a hard surface, they will produce sound. And each metal has a property to produce its own characteristic sound. Non-metals do not show any kind of sonorous. If we see the oxides, metallic oxides are basic in nature and non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Now we'll compare the chemical properties. And for comparison of chemical properties, we will see first of all reaction with air. Metals combine with oxygen from the air and form metal oxide. Examples you can see: copper plus oxygen gives you copper oxide, aluminium plus oxygen gives you aluminium oxide, magnesium plus oxygen gives you magnesium oxide. Different metals show different reactivities towards oxygen. Means some are reactant very vigorously and some react very slow, and even some does not react. So sodium and potassium react so vigorously that they catch fire if they are kept in open. These two metals, sodium and potassium, if exposed to the air, kept for some time, it catches fire. So where to store them? They are kept immersed in kerosene. Kerosene container, we put the sodium and potassium inside it so that it may not come in contact with the oxygen. Surfaces of magnesium, aluminium, zinc and lead are covered with a thin layer of oxide which prevent them from further oxidation. Iron does not burn on heating, but iron filings burns vigorously. Means if iron rod is taken, it will not burn. But if its flax are there, their fillings, iron fillings means the small pieces of iron, if they are burned, then they catches fire. Copper does not burn but is coated with black copper oxide. The copper does not burn, but a thin layer of black side copper oxide is formed there. Now, gold and silver does not react with oxygen. They are so inert in nature. They are noble in nature. They do not react with oxygen at all. Now we'll study amphoteric oxides. Metal oxides which react with both acids as well as bases. The metal oxides which react with acids as well as bases are so bases to produce salts and water are called amphoteric oxides. I again repeat, metals oxides which react with both acid as well as bases to form salts and water are amphoteric oxides. Amphoteric means which can react with both oxide, acids and bases. Examples, aluminum oxide is there, it reacts with HCl. HCl is an acid and gives aluminum chloride, whereas aluminum oxide can also react with sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is a base and it gives sodium aluminate, and water is produced in both the cases. Reaction of metals with water. Metals with water gives metal oxide and hydrogen. Metal oxides with water also gives metal hydroxide. So we can see the properties in a tabular form. Here the metals at the center react with cold water, sodium, potassium and calcium. Only these three can combine with the cold water. And with hot water only magnesium reacts, and with calcium and magnesium float as bubbles of hydrogen stuck to their surface. When we put calcium and magnesium in the water, it floats on the surface because due to their reaction with water, hydrogen gas is formed, and that hydrogen gas carries these calcium and magnesium metal to the surface of the water and they float. Metals react with steam are aluminium, iron and zinc, and no reaction with water at all in any case, either cold, hot or boiling or steam. Lead, copper, gold and silver do not react with at all. Examples is sodium plus water gives you sodium hydroxide, calcium plus water gives calcium hydroxide, magnesium plus water gives magnesium hydroxide, aluminium plus water gives aluminium oxide and hydrogen, iron plus water gives iron oxide, ferric oxide. In all the cases you see hydrogen gas is being produced. The water may be in the form of cold, hot or steam, as you can see from the table. Now third is the reaction of metals with acids. Acids, especially the dilute acids. Metal plus dilute acid gives a metal salt and hydrogen gas is produced. Copper, silver, mercury do not react with dilute acids. Examples: iron plus HCl gives ferric chloride, magnesium plus HCl gives magnesium chloride, zinc plus HCl gives zinc chloride, and aluminium plus HCl gives aluminium chloride, and in all the cases hydrogen is released. Now next one, reaction of metals with solutions of other metal salts. Metal plus salts of metal B, not of the same metal salt but salt of other metal, as it is written here, solutions of other metal salts. So metal of A salt, metal is A, and the salt solution of metal B reacts together to give the salt solution of A and metal B. That means metal A has replaced metal B from the solution. Reactive metals can displace less reactive metals from their compounds in solution form. Reactive metals can displace less reactive metals from their compounds in solution form. Example is iron plus copper sulfate gives you ferrous sulfate plus copper. Here Fe is the metal A and CuSO4 is the salt solution of metal copper, metal B, and it is giving ferrous sulfate, salt solution of metal A, that is iron, and copper metal is removed. So the reactive metal iron is replacing less reactive metal copper from the salt solution. So these are the important reactions, and this is a single displacement reaction. On the basis of various reactivities, the reactivity series is formed, and you can see in the reactivity series is a list. Metals arranged in order of their decreasing activities. Metals which are very reactive are kept at the top: potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium and aluminum. Then according to the reactivity, the metals can be arranged from top to bottom. Top most reactive and bottom least reactive. So you can see the least reactive are copper, mercury, silver and gold. Hydrogen is also placed here, and we will see the reaction of metals with non-metals. Reactivity of elements is the tendency to attain a completely filled valence shell. Reactivity of elements. Every element requires to complete its octet. So their tendency to attain completely filled valence shell. Valence cells, outermost shell. So atoms of the metals lose electrons and form their valency cells to form cations. Atoms of non-metals gain electrons in the valence shell to form anion. In the reactivity series, we have seen hydrogen is placed here. Hydrogen is not a metal. Why hydrogen is kept here? It is the reason most of the metals, or we can say all metals, forms positive ion by giving electrons, losing electrons. They form positive ion, and hydrogen also loses electron to form positive ion. Therefore, hydrogen is kept here in the metallic series. Now, second is here formation of sodium chloride. If you see how sodium chloride is formed, then you can understand sodium has valence electron 281. The electronic configuration is 281. 1 is the valence electron it loses that electron and forms sodium ion. 2,8 is the electronic configuration. So sodium cation is formed. All the positive ions are called cations. Now this electron released is taken by chlorine to form chloride ion, and chloride ion is negative, so it is called chlorine anion, and its electronic configuration will be 288. Here you can see sodium, we are showing only one electron with the dot, and chlorine with the A7, 2 to 4 to 8, and 2 to 4 to 6 and 1 7. 7 electrons are around the chlorine. These are the electrons which are present in outermost cell, valence cell. This electron is released and chlorine will take this. This will become positively charged cation. Sodium will become positively charged cation, and chlorine, after gaining one electron, will become negatively charged, and both attract each other by weak electrostatic force of attraction, and they form ionic compounds. So we can say the compounds formed by the transfer of electrons from a metal to non-metal are called ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds. Compounds formed by the transfer of electrons. This is sodium is transferring electron. Transfer of electrons from a metal to non-metal. Chlorine is a non-metal. It is transferring this electron to the non-metal is called ionic compound. So you must be clear in the mind that transfer of electrons from a metal to a non-metal is forming ions, and when these two ions are attracted by the electrostatic force of attraction, then they become ionic compounds. So let us see the properties of ionic compounds. The properties of ionic compounds. Minerals. First is the physical nature. They are solid and hard, generally brittle. All ionic compounds are solid, hard and brittle. Melting and boiling points, they have the high melting and high boiling points. Solubility, they are generally soluble in water and insoluble in solvents such as kerosene, petrol. Conduction of electricity, ionic compounds conduct electricity in molten and solution form but not in solid state. If we have the solid sodium chloride and we connect it with the two electrodes, then it will not pass electricity. The solution of salt must be there, so they do not conduct electricity in solid form, they conduct electricity in solution. Occurrence of metals. Metals occurs in nature in the form of minerals. The elements or compounds which occur naturally in the earth crust are called minerals. So what you will say minerals? Elements or compounds which occur naturally in the earth's crust are called minerals. Now from the minerals we can define ores. Minerals that contain very high percentage of particular metal. High percentage of particular metal, and the metals can be extracted profitably by using less amount of energy, less amount of money, less amount of manual force. That is called profitable. Extract from it, such minerals are called ores. So you can say ores are minerals, but all minerals are not ores. So again I will say minerals that contain very high percentage of particular metals and the metal can be profitably extracted from it. Such metals are called ore. Now you can see in the tabular form potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium and aluminium. They are very reactive metals. and since they are reactive metals, so they are not found free in nature. Zinc, iron, lead, copper and mercury, they are moderately reactive and they occur mostly they occur in the form of sulfides. Just your zinc sulfide, iron sulfide, lead sulfide, copper sulfide, oxides or carbonates, and they are and metals can be extracted from such metals which are moderately reactive by reduction by using the carbon as a reducing agent, and the metals which are very high reactive, they are extracted by electrolysis. Lastly, least reactive are the silver and copper. Here Ag is combined, some mistake is in typing Ag. Occur in native free state. We can find silver and copper, gold in nature in free state. Extraction of metals requires 3 steps. First is the enrichment of ores, second is the extraction of ores, metals, and third is the refining of metals. Now let us start with the ore. Ore, first we concentrate this. Concentration of ore is done in 3 ways. Metals with high reactivity, metals with low reactivity and metals with very low reactivity. If their metal is high reactive, then electrolysis of molten ores. Ore is molten and then its electrolysis will give you the pure metal. And if it is of the moderate type, then we will see we will do first remove oxygen if excess oxygen is there, and if there is no oxygen we will add oxygen. That means we are converting all metals in the moderate reactivity form into the metal oxides. We change all the metals into metal oxides. So changing metal ore into metal oxides, we have the 2 process. One is the calcination and another is the roasting. Calcination is done for such ores which have high percentage of oxygen, that is carbonate ore. So zinc carbonate, here we supply limited air and heat the ore, we get metal oxides. Other side, if metal ores are in the form of sulfide, then example is HGS, which is called cinnabar or zinc sulfide. Then excess of air is passed, and in passing excess of air, the metal changes into metal oxide. That is called roasting. And here metal with low reactivity, sulfide ores may be there, and it is done with the roasting, and then finally metals are obtained. In this case metal oxides are reduced and then metals are obtained. But these 3 process we get the metals. In the electrolysis form we get the pure metal, but in these 2 cases we do not found metal in pure form. So they are further purified by electrolysis method. So we'll see some things written here. The gangues, ores are usually contaminated with large amount of impurities such as soil, sand are called the gangue. So gangue is soil, sand or some other things which are associated with the ores. They are required first to remove, and for removing that we have done the concentration. And in this case the concentration, after removing all these sand, soil, we just change. We have to remove carbonate also, we have to remove sulfur also, but they are not the gangues, they are associated with the metal, so they are removed by calcination and roasting. Now roasting, the sulfide ores are converted into oxides by heating strongly in the presence of excess of air. This process is called roasting. Zinc sulfide excess of air is there, we are heating it, and zinc oxide and sulfur dioxide change zinc sulfide into oxide. Calcination, if there is excess of carbonate oxygen, then we simply heat it with the limited supply of air, very limited supply of air, and then the oxide, this changes into oxide and carbon dioxide. In this excess it is removed. Third is the reduction. Reduction means if we get these metals, then these metals contain oxygen. So removal of oxygen is called reduction. So that is done by the carbon here changes into zinc and carbonate. So refining of metal, as we have told earlier, that the metals obtained by extractions are not so pure. So for getting the pure metal, we do the refining. Most widely used methods of refining impure metals is electrolytic refining. In this electrolytic refining, this is the electrolytic cell. This contains electrolyte. Two electrodes are there. One is connected with the negative charge, that is it will form cathode. Another connected with positive charge, that is the anode. So what we will do, we will make anode impure copper. If we are purifying copper metal, then we will make this as impure rod as the anode, and strips of pure copper will be made cathode, and electrolyte here will be used solution of acidified copper sulfate. Salt of that metal which we are refining will be taken in this as a electrolyte. When we pass electricity through the electrolyte, the impure metal from anode dissolves into electrolyte. The impure metal from anode will dissolve into what? Impure metal from this anode will dissolve into electrolyte, and from electrolyte it will transfer to cathode. And in this way, this strip will become thin, and this thin strip will become thick as the metal is depositing over it. The equivalent amount of pure metal from the electrolyte is deposited at the cathode. Cathode is made of pure metal strips, so all the metal will deposit over that. The insoluble impurities settle down at the bottom of the anode and is called anode mud. What upper impurities are there that will settle down, and that is called the anode mud impurities. Now corrosion. Corrosion, you know, surfaces of some metals such as iron is corroded when they are exposed to moisture for a long period of time. This is called corrosion. If you keep fresh iron articles in moist atmosphere, then that moist atmosphere contains oxygen and water vapors that will react with the iron articles, and a brownish flakes are deposited over that. Iron, when exposed to moisture, acquires a coating of brown flakes, that is called rust. Similarly with the copper. Copper reacts with moist carbon dioxide in the air and gains green coat of copper carbonate. Green coat of copper carbonate is formed, and in the case of silver, silver becomes black when exposed to air, as it reacts with air to form a coating of silver sulfide. The black color coating is called silver sulfide. The green coat is copper carbonate, and the brownish flakes are hydrated oxide of iron. Now how it is prevented? Prevention of corrosion is done by galvanization. It is a method of protecting steel and iron from rusting by coating them with a thin layer of zinc. If we coat a thin layer of zinc over the metal surface, This process is called galvanization, and it will protect the effect of moist air, and it will protect further formation of brown flakes over the iron articles. Alloying, we mix two or more metals in some ratios, then also form that also prevent the corrosion. So formation of alloys. Alloys are iron mixed with small amount of carbon becomes hard and strong. Steel, iron plus nickel and chromium, steel is formed. Brass, copper plus zinc. Bronze, copper plus tin. Solder, lead plus tin. And amalgam, if one of the metal is mercury, then that is the amalgam. So you must read about the alloys and you must learn these things, because in examination you will be asked, brass is made of, is a mixture of homogeneous mixture of which two metals? You will say copper and zinc. Bronze is homogeneous mixture of copper and tin. So in this way you can prepare for your examination. Now from 2020 the board paper has started like this. First 20 questions are asked in this form. First to 14, not 20, first to 14. Question will be given and 4 answers will be given. You have to select one from this. Green color coating on the copper utensil is due to the formation of, as I told you above, which was that? Due to formation of, what I told you? Due to the formation of copper carbonate. So copper carbonate is given as A. So answer will be A. Rusting of iron takes place. Rusting of form takes place. Ordinary water, both A and B. This is distilled water or none of this. So ordinary water, distilled water, and none of this. The answer will be none of this. In this way you can prepare for your examination, and I hope you understand very well the chapter which is metals and non-metals. So I thank you for this. Please go through the chapters, notes, and learn all these. This is the limited course for you. So thank you very much. All the best.